Okay, now in this first thing, I was pretty happy with the assessments. Okay, actually, but some trouble spots I did see would be on these two right here. So there's two answers, and I want you to show me that you actually did this. And we got x to the second and x. Okay. So I'm going to have to use my factoring because there's two different kinds of x's. So I underline my terms. There's two of them. So it's going to be the greatest common factor, looking for that, and then looking for a difference of perfect squares. Okay. Okay. All right, so my greatest common factor, I do have a negative. You got a lot of you guys, if there was a negative in the front, you didn't make it negative. Okay, so make it negative. You have x on both of these, so you need to put x out here. And then if you go 312 in the GCF calculator, it's going to give you 3. Okay, so negative 3x. So I need to pull out negative 3x, and then I'll divide by negative 3x, divide by negative 3x. Okay. So those cancel, and I get 1x plus 4, because I'd be taking negative 12 divided by negative 3 is 4. Now, this is not actually a difference of perfect squares, and I didn't do a very good job of explaining this in class. I know 4 is 2 times 2, and I know 1 is 1 times 1, but the x is not to the second power. Okay, so you can't do xx, so we go ahead and cross that out. And also, we didn't even have a minus, so yeah, don't just look at the numbers. Your x would have to be to the second power, and you'd have to have a minus as well. Okay, so that's going to be f1, and that's going to be f2. Okay, so f1, negative 3x equals 0. And then 1x plus 4 is going to be equal to 0. And then I'd see pretty easy from there. I just divide by 3. That's going to be 0. And then I just subtract 4 from both sides. And that's going to be negative 4. I don't need to divide by 1. Okay, so watch out for that. Okay, and then I had a lot of questions on this one as to how we were supposed to do it. And I'm going to kind of explain it. I have two answers. So I have the x second, but that's the only one I have, okay? It's the only, x to the second only. So if that's the only one we have, we're going to get the x to the second by itself instead of drawing all these boxes. And then I'll square root at the end of the problem. So I plus 12 to both sides, and that's 15. So 3 times x to the second is 15. And then we still got to get x to the second by itself, so I divide by 3. And that's 5. And then, since I have a second power, don't put 5. That's not the answer, okay? You have to find the square root of 5. Okay, so I got 2.24. Okay, so 2.24 is one of the answers. Negative 2.24 is the other. Okay, now turn to the back side. We're not going to do this bottom one. I mean, if I'll show you your assessment, I can go over it because that's the one where you have to do the grouping. Okay, I do want to look at this one. Now, this one like this was not actually on the test, but it will be the next time we take that standard. So there's two answers. And we've got x to the second and x, so we're going to have to make our factoring. The zero's there, so 3 terms. And my table, okay? So the GCF is just going to be positive 1, okay? So we get rid of that. So A, B, C. So I take A times C, and that's going to be taking 1 times negative 10. Well, that's negative 10, and I'd be looking for a difference of 4 here. But the problem with that is 1 and 10, that's not 4. 10 divided by 2 and 5, that's 3. So it went from a difference of 9 to a difference of 3, and I got to get 4. So I have no chance of finding that. So I put fail, because on the test they all worked. I always was able to find something, but now there's going to be some problems here and there where you're not able to find it. And that's when you have your song, okay? So draw a big line, put a plus minus, and here it goes. Opposite of B, opposite of B. So the opposite of minus 4 is 4. Plus or minus, and there it is, the square root. Now you remember how you put the square root. You make your first parentheses goes to the second power. And then after that you put a minus. Okay, just a parentheses, the second power with a minus, and then 3 straight parentheses. B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC, so B is the negative 4. And then I always put 4 here because it's opposite of B, plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4 AC, so A is 1 and C is negative 10. Then on the bottom, over 2A, over 2A. So it's 2 and whatever A is, which is 1. Okay, so now to find the answers, of course, I take 4. I put a plus minus after the 4, and then 2 times 1 is 2. Because I've got this, I know. I don't know what this square root is, and I know that 2 times 1 is 2. So I got 4 and 2. Now, this square root, there's a way to punch that into your calculator. So I'm going to show it. It's got to be one that is like scientific like this, where you can keep plugging in. So I go square root. So I go second, and then I hit my square root key. Now you see a parentheses come up. You actually need 2 of them right together, okay? And then what I'm going to do is plug in negative 4. And then close that one and hit my second power key. Just hit the X to the second power button. And then after that, minus, parentheses 4, parentheses 1, parentheses negative 10. Okay, that gave me 7.48. Okay. Okay, now the way to get that, if your calculator will not do that, is to make 2 square roots and take negative 4 times itself, and then 4 times 1 times negative 10. That's how I made you do it before. So that's positive 16. 4 times 1 times negative 10 is negative 40. And then minus negative, you'll plus that, and that's 56. Well, the square root of 56 is 7.48. That's what it's going to give you. Okay, now to get your 2 answers, you go 4 plus 7.48 equals, divide by 2, 5.74. And then 4 minus 7.48 equals, and then divided by 2, so negative 1.74. Okay, so hopefully that reminded you of a few things. Now you're going to do an assignment. Go to the next video on Classroom, and you're going to do an assignment with something new. Okay, if you know how to run your calculator, it's not too bad.